Okay, so this is feedback for question 1 for Sinister Studios. So, just as we're going through, if you can make sure just your evaluation tabs just kind of break down a bit easier. So you've got with production, you've got the 3 things underneath it. That would work out really well. Okay, so we've got our introduction. So what you could bring in here if you wanted to is one of the theorists that we studied. So Burton's idea that genre means type could be a kind of good way of sort of kicking it off. Also, just a few of the terminology words like what a subgenre is. Again, you can see on the exemplar one they've talked about some of the theoretical aspects, like it helps audiences have certain expectations, and as a producer it helps you be able to target. So I just think you need a bit more in there. Maybe, as I said, go back to the genre essays you've written and then just think about some of the key aspects that we sort of know about audience expectations, about it being like a kind of ingredients list, and things like the subgenres in there. Okay, so we've jumped straight into trailers. Again, if we look at the exemplars, we've got some of the mood boards about common conventions in horror films. So there's quite a lot here, set design. So a lot of this is sort of reused points from the research and planning that you can quite easily put in there, with obviously some sort of analysis of what they are. You've also got your subgenre mood board that could be brought in. So it's kind of a bit lacking here because we're just jumping straight in. Okay, so we've talked about the structural length, which is nice. So again, what you might want to talk about here is it's teaser trailers that you're making. So that's quite important. Again, I think with this as well, one of the key things we'd need here is your map of the trailer that we did on paper, which does all the timings, all the fades, all the sort of stuff that we would have through. And again, I think it's quite brief what we've got here. If we look at the analysis, we kind of need a substantial amount more really, in that they've put a lot more in there. If we move on to Todorow's feel, okay, so it's quite difficult to have Todorov in there, because what we're doing is we're just putting the whole thing in there. What I'd expect you to do is to re-edit these, so we've got our equilibrium, disruption and re-equilibrium, and again it's very sort of brief. There's not really a great deal of detail here. If you look at each of the sections, there's a little mini paragraph on each one, which is at least sort of 2 or 3 sentences. So I think you need kind of more in that to be able to explain like what this is, rather than just pointing out. So it's very descriptive at the minute, which is kind of holding it down really at the sort of D grade, not like why we have these stages or why they're not in your thing. So again, you're not really given any reasons here that I'd need to have for the C grade. These are good here. Yep, this works. I think the only thing at the moment is we can't tell these are conventions because we don't have any side by side with the existing texts. So if we're talking about camera shots and stuff like that, we need the real media text going on there to actually show that these are side by sides on there. Lighting, yep, these work out quite nicely. Okay, so at the moment I'd say it's quite brief. For the work of one student particularly, I'd have expected a lot more than this, probably double the amount of work, and the analysis needs a lot of work. So your target at the moment to hit the C grade is you need to spend a considerable amount more time introducing the introduction of what genre is, putting some theory in there, talking about the subgenres, basically all the stuff that we've kind of done before but applying it this time. I think as well you need to have more stuff in there that allows you to talk about why the length is this long, because at the minute it's all very descriptive, and descriptive is basic because you're just describing what you see. There's not any analysis there you need for the C grade. So for analysis I mean why it's there, what's the purpose of it, what function does it serve. Okay, so just looking through with the magazine section, again there's not much in the way of annotation at the moment. The thing link stuff is good actually. I've just clicked on that, that's good, and you got your side by side, so that's lovely, like that, that's good, and you got your side by side there. This is nice, you got your cover lines. Yep, this is already, yep, this is good, and you got some good, and we've rotated what we're doing on there. Yep, okay, so I like that, that's quite good. What would be nice is in here is if we, obviously you're talking about the magazine. Yeah, that's fine. That's good. Okay, we talk about the poster. So we've got the title and the side by side. Yeah, that's nice. Yep. Okay, so we've got the convention of it being sort of like a horror kind of text. We've got our dominant image. That's nice. You've got some GIFs in there. This is good. It explains here, and you've used denotation and Bards' theory, so that's really nice. And that there's some stuff in there now. The other thing you might want to put on here is it's a legal requirement because it kind of brands the film. That these are the people that made it, so the poster can't or shouldn't theoretically be able to be ripped off. Yep, this is nice, and this is really good. I like this. This is a nice collage that you put together. And a conclusion. So in your conclusion, you need to have an evaluation. So how recognisable is it? So you've put some things here about improving, which is good. But again, I think we need to talk about maybe things like how, as a campaign overall, is it clear it's a horror film? Could it have been a bit more effective in some ways? That type of stuff. I'd say in the trailer section, we're kind of, I think. Yeah, I mean we've got 4 there. I'd expect a bit more kind of on that. Just looking through what they've talked about, their structure here. Look, their trailer. They've got an entire separate presentation on it, and then compared it to Cabin in the Woods. So I think at the moment we need a substantial more depth in this, particularly in the trailer section. I think the rest of it is good. Again, we could talk about more stuff like settings, costumes and props and stuff like that, but yeah. Okay, so I'd say overall at the moment we're probably looking at the sort of D grade for that section.